Hi, I'm Marilen Crump, expert dream catcher, business coach, and mentor, creator of the Dream Success Strategy, where we teach you principles on how to shift your mindset into abundance to help you achieve the dreams that you desire. So today, let's talk about reaching new levels of growth. I know for some people, they are feeling stagnant and stuck in a place where they're really not achieving the things that they are looking forward to having in their life. For me, most of it that I see out there is a combination of fear and self-doubt that gets in the way of that new growth. And so how do we start pulling ourselves away from those feelings of self-doubt? One of the things that I had to do in my growth was really assess how my mindset was going by the conversations that I allowed inside my own head. It is really difficult sometimes when you've grown up in a certain way that people don't address how your own self-talk really matters. You hear other people's voices sometimes in your head, like your parents or your dear friends who mean well, but it's just a bunch of undirected chatter. So one of the things that I had to be aware of is when you go into a deeper contemplation, let's say you spend some time unplugged from social media, turning off the TV and any other electronic devices, and just kind of sit with yourself in a quiet room, and you'd be surprised how noisy your head can be. So it's almost weird to kind of sit there and just listen to yourself. And you don't even realize all the different thoughts that you have from day to day, minute by minute, and how overwhelming it can be. And then you do all these other things subconsciously. So in those moments of reflection, I try to consider, are these voices really helpful? Are these statements that's running through in my brain really going to get me to the next point that I need to go in order to achieve some of the things that I put down as a goal? And which of those things can I go ahead and remove from the conversation? That is easier said than done. When I first met my husband, when we were dating, he would tell me, watch your thoughts. And that's one of the ways that you can, become a more positive person. And I would say, hey, I'm already positive. Okay, being positive in the moment when you're reacting to situations, when you have to face people and put on a good show, or, maybe you feel it at that moment, is different than when you have to work through something yourself. And in the moment of a decision making, are you experiencing that same positivity that you put out there in front of others when you're trying to help them? So that's different when you try to help yourself. Are you still that positive person? And my challenge has been that when I really contemplated that question he asked, I probably was not the most positive person to myself. I would be this really positive force for other people. But when it came down to me, I didn't really spend that much time because I would feel uncomfortable hearing what I had to say to myself. Things like, why did you do that yesterday? Or that was a big mistake. I bet you're going to do it again. Or no one's going to think that that's awesome the way you were planning it. So why even try? So all of these negative self-talk. And I didn't realize that that's how much was overwhelming my mind and my heart. That was one of those kind of aha moments. But then once I did realize it, it made me scared. I would then call him up and say, wait a minute, now that I can hear my thoughts and I'm paying attention, I don't like it and it sounds terrible. And so, it took practice. It took rewiring and really coming up with a new method of expressing the internal anguish or that fear-based conversation and turning it into a more positive thing. So I really don't know too much about neuro-linguistic programming, but I know that My husband was telling me about that he went through a program that was all about that. But, I can just condense it like this. Here's what I'm going to say. Write down the things that you hear that's negative, and then on the opposite part of that, like if you drew a line down the middle of a piece of paper, if you wrote down the things that were negative on the left hand side, what can you counter it with on the right hand side? Almost like you have to be your own advocate, you have to be your own supporter, you have to be the one to kind of re-explain it to yourself. And it's kind of neat to even say it out loud. Makes you feel weird at first, like, I'm not going to do that. That sounds like I'm talking to myself. But you know what? If it's going to be the tool that gets you to that new level of growth, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you go into a practice where you take all of those negative things that you heard in your mind and then address it directly and like have a conversation directly with it out loud, hearing your own voice, and then being able to then say, you know what? I like hearing that from myself. I like these affirmations that actually make sense in my life. And so I create affirmations based on those responses, and it's more meaningful to me than trying to get, a subscription of affirmations that someone else created. I mean, that might be a good inspiring place to start, but I find that the more growth is experienced when I address the things that I face personally. So what is it that you're facing personally? And what can you do or say in opposition to that so that you can hear and observe yourself doing the opposite? And then letting that become the new normal for you instead of the more negative things that run around in your head uncontrolled. And then what you find is that you can't stand it when someone else is talking negatively about themselves. You're just like, wait a minute, you sound like me when I was talking negatively to myself. And then you are a different voice that could possibly be around them to help wake them up to the whole expression of positivity. And really, that's what it takes. Like, sometimes we don't know it until someone else shows it to us, like holds a mirror up in front of our face. And it's really fascinating to watch people in that process because you've been there. You can say, oh my gosh, I can really relate. And I hope you know that I can really relate, and that you don't just think that I have always been this well-rounded thought person, that it took so much work and practice. But in the work and practice, like, even though it was hard, it was so awesome. Like, it gave me so much hope that if this is what it took, that I can really start to see the results based on something that I could do any minute of my life, based on something that I don't really have to pay anyone to do for me. I can really direct my own understanding. That gives you such a great sense of like, anything is possible in this life if you really choose it. So when we say choose your words, choose your thoughts, choose your frequency, it really is true that you can choose it. You have that power and you have that capability. What it feels like to me is a exercise, just like getting used to cardio. Like, the first few times it is so arduous, and it's like, why am I even doing this? Like, what am I doing? Am I really going to get anywhere with this? You will, but not in one day, not in 1 week, maybe not even in a month or even in a year. It has to be a new type of skin that you put on. Like, you change your diet, like you change your palate. And my husband and I were talking about this the other day. When you achieve new levels of wealth, it's even cooler, right? Like, I can't even imagine being as poor as I once was, where I couldn't put gas in my car because I didn't have enough money, and that I would have to, my car was being in danger of being repossessed because I couldn't afford my car payments. Like, I don't think As long as I keep this mindset that I've had for many years now strong, I don't really think that I'd be comfortable with anything less anymore. And that is such a big statement for me. It's been such a healthy new way of living to say I choose to be wealthy for not only for myself, but for my children and for those that I support in helping them achieve new levels of wealth. Like, I would feel weird trying to teach other people how to achieve abundance if I didn't have it myself. Like, that would be contradictory. Like, that would not be the best frequency to share. The frequency is, this is cool. Like, you just kind of have to get out of your own way. Like, you have to really be in this positive bubble where you choose to grow because of what you can control, which is your mindset, your actions, and your habits. So that's going to be the biggest thing that you can take year after year, day after day, track it all down, write it down, say things out loud, be a crazy person in your own room. That's fine. Like, you don't have to like show off, look at me talking to myself. You don't have to do that. You can just be in your own space, whether it's your closet. Like, I created a power closet. Sometimes said power closet gets really cluttered, and that really normally reflects my state of mind. So I'm going to say, what is wrong with this picture? Something is wrong that I'm not expressing because my actions are showing itself. And so it starts in my closet, right? And it starts in like me not making my bed. And so I go, okay, stop it, Marilen. Whatever this is, you gotta rectify it. Get back to the habit of making sure everything is in order, making sure that you take care of things like at the minute they need to be taken care of, that you finish those projects, that you close those loops, and then you can move forward with confidence and share the newfound knowledge that you have. So hopefully I shared something great with you today and that you're enjoying this podcast and other things. Now, this is more updated than, of course, the previous stuff, but look me up, #ExpertDreamCatcher. And if you have any questions about what I do and how I can help you, feel free to contact me, and you can visit my website, MarilenCrump.com, MarilenCrump.com. And so until next time, hope you're doing well and keep living your dreams.